What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. After Sound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning, so come by and say hello. This video is also brought to you by my music. Since we don't do any sponsorships here, I'll go ahead and shill that. It is available anywhere you stream music. Just look up After Sound. Let me know what you think. I would greatly appreciate the support. All right, guys, I have an idea here. Actually, well, let's talk about card rentals and card ownership. And then I'm going to give you my idea. So here's the thing. A lot of folks say, or a lot of the arguments that I hear are very anti-card ownership, or say that there's not enough incentive for card ownership. People can just go and rent their way to the top, and that's, totally fine. And in a way, like I'm actually okay with this. I don't necessarily think it's a problem that needs to be fixed. But I do want to offer a couple of ideas, some of which we've heard, and then I'm going to offer mine, that can maybe change the conversation just slightly and help those who lament the fact that card ownership is not properly incentivized by giving it a proper incentive, right? So in a way, we've talked about, and you've heard many folks say, why don't we give like a bonus or a boost, right? That is the biggest and probably the easiest, right? This is definitely the easier of the options that I'm going to give to anybody who's playing with own cards. So if you're playing with your own card, you get a boost on your earnings, right? Similarly, there could be something where if you're playing with rented cards, you get a slight deduction. And it's like, okay, well, maybe, that could disincentivize people. It's still going to get you like 90% of the rewards or something. But if you're playing with rented cards, it's just, it's better to play with your own. To me, that's like, the carrot and the stick. I don't quite know which one is better in that outcome, but they both kind of accomplish the same thing, right? They either dip into the pool a little bit more or they don't. And over time, that just kind of normalizes out. It's a fine thought, but I have an alternative, which I think could shake things up. And yes, this will require dev resources. This will require actually looking at and changing the code and considering the percentages. But what if we incentivize card ownership by allowing it so that anytime somebody plays with a rented card, a tiny portion, very small, like 1% of the rewards would actually go back almost like royalties to the card owner. Now, here's the thing. I know what you're saying, like, oh, the person's already paying for the cards, right? Or they're already paying to rent the cards. Why do they have to pay something on top of that? Yeah, that's fine. I understand. I am proposing something additional on top of that, but I'm proposing it to be something that is small and almost insignificant, right? Almost insignificant. And that is the key word here, because I'm talking about like 1%. So if you, for example, let's say you play a full team, six cards, or seven cards, right? And you win 7 SPS. So basically, just to make the math easy, right? So you win a game, you got 7 cards, you win 7 SPS. So therefore, right, each card essentially was responsible for earning 1 SPS. And this is after all the bonuses and whatever, right? Each card was responsible for earning 1 SPS. If you were to take 1% of that one card that was rented in there and then route that, right? So we're talking about 0.01 SPS in this scenario, 0.01, and send that back to the owner. Owner didn't have to do anything, right? They just put their cards for rentals. They get the upfront fee of using the card, but then every time that card is involved in a win, they get like a 1% royalty on there. That, in my opinion, could bring card lords back in a major way, or it would incentivize more people to buy whatever that they need, right? Because they don't want to pay that 1%, or if they, I don't even know what's going on here. Oh, my bot's going crazy. All right, love it. And we won. Fantastic. Right? So in that scenario, like 5.5 SPS, right? We're talking about such a tiny amount of SPS that would be going back to the owner. But in this way, people who wanted to collect cards, and here's the thing, they would then be looking at what are the meta cards, right, that have longevity. And yes, I know you can look at it in that way where we're already looking at it in that way where it's like, okay, I want to rent the cards that are going to net the most, right? But now it's not just are they netting the most. What cards have the best win rates, right? And what cards are people using that will potentially, offer a chance to get even higher returns on the back end. Again, it's something so small that I don't think it wouldn't even be noticeable for most folks, right? If you win 7 SPS and let's put it this way. If you win 7 SPS and all of your cards are rented, you are giving up 0.07 SPS, right? So you're still getting 6.93 from that entire ordeal. So I'm really talking about something small here in terms of it being 1%. And if, in a way, right, that incentivizes ownership, it doesn't necessarily disincentivize renting, right? It's worse renting now. Sorry, let me put it this way. It would be worse renting in that scenario than it is now, but it would only be 1% worse. And I don't think that that's terrible, right? Especially when you have hopefully a lot more folks coming in that don't know what it used to be like. And actually, if they see it that way, where it's like, oh, I can rent the cards, the royalties go back, over the long run, you know what? I'd actually like to own some of these cards. And so that to me just puts in a little bit of a different mindset. And maybe I'm coming at this from like a music background. That's why I'm calling it royalties, right? So it's like, it's cool to have like these back end royalties where your card, every time it's involved in some kind of win, you're getting paid on the back end because it provided value and utility to the person using it, right? Not just that they rented the cards and then sat on it for 48 hours and didn't do anything. You still get paid off of that. But now if the cards are actively being a part of the ecosystem and actively being part of, not the ecosystem, but like a game, right? Actually the ecosystem, because they're dipping into the reward pool, well, all of a sudden you're getting paid on that back end too. So again, I know it's a little bit of an extreme idea. I actually think that something like that would probably take a lot of coding resources or development resources. Again, I'm not a dev, I'm not technical, but I can't imagine it's just like flipping a switch, right? And maybe 1% isn't the right amount. Maybe it's 0.5%. Maybe it's 0.1%. I don't know. My whole thing is that it's just the idea around it. Just the idea of what value can this provide. And would it incentivize people to not just own their own cards, but also start owning even more in terms of being like a card lord and renting out? Because that time period seems long past, right? Yes, there are a lot of people who own a lot of cards, but the rental market isn't quite there. Now, that being said, I have a little bit of optimism that that's going to change, right? Whether one of two things happens or both things happens, we get new players coming in, or the market starts to tick SPS higher up, and therefore the rewards are better. And then you might have some bot accounts come back online, right? And again, I'm not saying good or bad about bots. I'm just saying that if the incentive is there, the bots will come online. And guess what? They're going to start renting some cards, right? They're going to start renting some cards. They're going to start paying some DEC into the Wild Season Pass. And overall, that's going to be good for the ecosystem, right? So again, I don't want to get into the whole bot conversation. My whole point with this is that it could offer interesting incentives and offer value for folks that want to start collecting cards, either, one by one individually or in mass. So I don't know. That's my thought. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Very curious to get the feedback on this. But that's all I have for you. I'll catch you all in the next video and see you around the game. Take care.